Can you tell me what is an approved placement provider?
Hi, Sarah. Well, an approved placement provider is an organisation like a nursing home that has been through the checks, training and audit with a university and is ready to host students, either nursing or allied healthcare professional like dietitians or social workers, paramedics, etc. And providing them with a quality learning experience so they can see something outside of the primary care and the hospital environment.
Okay, so what's the first step to becoming an approved placement provider or APP?
Well, there's a bunch of us like me that are called project workers, and we will have a virtual chat with you or pop out if it's easier for the provider, where we can answer your questions and provide you with some information on the whole process.
Okay, so in this initial chat, what sort of questions might the provider get asked by CPEP?
Okay, so what we want to establish is how many registered nurses that you have or other registrants that work with you, whether it's a registered nurse, mental health nurse, for example. How many of those nurses might be interested in becoming what is called a practice supervisor or a practice assessor to be able to support the student in the workplace. And perhaps what you specialise in, for example, palliative care or dementia. Those are two examples.
Okay, so what happens after that initial chat?
Well, we can have a further chat with you if you've got more questions. Obviously, people think of more questions after after an interview, so you might have some more questions we can ask you. We will email you all the information that we talk about anyway, so you've got it afterwards to read. The types of things we can send an example of a student induction booklet, a placement plan, you know, the sort of things, the sort of learning opportunities that, for example, a student nurse might have within your workplace. And we can send you the links for the online training for you to have a look at, the practice supervisor and a practice assessor training.
Okay, so what happens next? What's the next step after that?
Well, after this, then the next step would be to set up another virtual meeting with one or more of our partner universities. So that's Exeter, Plymouth, Bolton, and University of the West of England at Bristol. So they'd like to get a little bit more information from you and have a look at the audit process and discuss that with you to be able to become an APP.
Okay, so what does an audit involve?
Okay, so the audit is a bit of a scary word, but it's nothing really to be too worried about. And all the audit is doing is making sure that you as the provider are ready for the students. It does take between 1 and 1.5 hours to complete on a Teams call with the university. And it talks about the students' learning opportunities at your organisation and the training needs, insurance and information like that. And the university will then go on and explain how to claim your tariff from Health Education England for hosting students. And there is someone at CPEP and at the university that will guide you through the whole process.
Okay, so you said the actual meeting's about an hour to an hour and a half, but what about all the other stuff and the training? Is it time consuming?
Well, the practice supervisor training is an online course with the University of Plymouth. It takes 2 to 3 hours to complete. The practice assessor training is an additional hour-long live Teams meeting with the University of Plymouth as well. It meets your nurses NMC revalidation requirements as well. So that's another tick in that box, which is fantastic. And after that, you get a certificate, which you then can send back into the university, which adds you to the register as a practice supervisor or practice assessor or both.
Okay, so once the audit's done, do the students arrive? Is that how it works?
No, not straight away. So we need to, the university will work with you to check everything's in place. Normally you'd have at least 2 months notice before the arrival of students, and you need all the contact details for the students' tutor, etc. at the university as well, who will be there to support you with any further questions that you might have.
Okay. So how many students do providers get?
One or two per placement. It depends on what the provider is comfortable with and how large the provider is, how many practice supervisors and assessors they have in the workplace. It's nice sometimes for two students from the same university to go together, because then there's a bit of peer support there. It's also important to note that the providers can take a break from hosting students if they want to. So you don't have to feel obligated to saying, yes, you'll have students on each placement.
Okay. So the whole process of becoming a placement provider from start to finish, how long does it take?
Well, it's led by the provider, and it can take as little as 6 weeks or as long as 6 months, depending on the provider, how the nursing staff at the organisation, how busy they are, what else is going on. But CPEP and the project workers here are to support and guide all the providers in the journey of becoming an APP.
Cathy, that's great. Thank you so much for all of that. It makes it much
That's all right.
clearer.
Okay, thank you.